I'm David Marsh. Welcome to Exploring the Human Journey.
Exploring the Human Journey.
Roughly 25 years ago, this guy hands me this little package of brown powder, and he said a friend of Timothy Leary's gave it to him, and he doesn't know why, but for some reason he feels that I should have this. And I said, thank you very much. And I looked at it, and I had no idea, and it had no instructions on it. It just talked about chemical compounds, and it said ayahuasca on the front. And I asked, and nobody seemed to know what it was. And then when I turned 50, ran across it again, pulled it out. I'm like, what is this stuff? I don't know. I'm like, hey, we have Google now. Maybe somebody has heard of ayahuasca. So I walk over to the computer, I'm like, A-Y-A, da-da-da, and all of a sudden, oh my God, it was, it's on the web. There's just a million pages out there, and I'm reading. I mean, just for like a full day of just like, don't anybody bother me. And within 7 days, I had sold a vehicle so that I could come up with the cash to fly to Peru and go see if even that much of what I read was true. And I went down there, and I'm deep in the jungle, and I don't know anybody, and this crazy guy with feathers in his head and saying all this great stuff I'd never heard of, and hands me this cup, and I'm like, okay, this could be it. I love you guys. See you later. And I drank. And then 45 minutes later, it was like, the universe just opened up, and it was the madre, and she's like, welcome home. It was just, I knew that I was from this place. It was all that I've ever been, all that I've ever felt. It was light, it was creation, it was unimaginable, way bigger than the human mind can even conceive of. I was home. It was just welcome back. And that was where it all began. It's like, okay, here you go. And from that point on, it has never been the same. I didn't even know what to do with that. And the madre was really clear. Just don't overthink it and just come back. She started teaching me more things. She set up like this crazy conduit of direct communication between the guy that was running it and me. And he just like flowing like a waterfall, just coming through me, just downloads of information. And that's kind of where it all began. One thing I've learned with plant medicine is that these plants are fully conscious beings, and they really enjoy serving and sharing the experience and helping the human race.
Awesome. You guys, Clay Villanueva is with me, the one and only. Clay, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's amazing, dude. So you've been doing plant medicine for a while. You've had some time. You've done a lot of learning, a lot of exploring, and a lot of searching. What are some of the things that you found that was missing that plant medicine is starting to integrate?
A lot of deep connection to like our being as people and to the planet. I started out a lot of mental stuff and engineering and a lot of thinking and whatnot. And that was all cool and got me where I needed to go. But I always kind of felt like I was sort of in a bubble, and there was other things in this world. They were like outside of me as well as my own body and whatnot. And I was kind of living in this little safe place in my head, or at least I thought it was safe. And then the plant medicines have really opened up this whole like what is going on this planet, like what's going on with other living things, including myself, including the plants, the whole, before when I was kind of in the head thing, there's, the planet Earth, the Pachamama people, and like kind of the granola crowd. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I'm an engineer,
Sure.
And it just kind of really, it separated me a lot.
Science, technology.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Cause we're doing some serious business here.
Yeah. I'm grounded. This is the real world.
Yeah. Like I was a little bit off base there. And then the plant medicines, they just opened up this whole other world of just living beings, and how energy moves around the universe, and how consciousness makes things grow, and how things flow, and how we're all a part of this one big event that's going on.
Yeah.
And connection.
I love it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what was missing. Yeah.
Oh, dude. The single most important event in my life has been plant medicine ceremony, where it allowed me to open up to experience consciousness and to receive spiritual information. And it is so profound when you find yourself in a space of being able to receive and being able to let go. But I want to give some place to your journey. So you told me that you grew up, you had a lifestyle, and then you transitioned into some military and then into work. So kind of give us a little feel for your human journey getting to this point where you are today.
Growing up, my dad worked for Exxon, so we traveled a lot. We were in the Caribbean and down in South America and Venezuela, and so I'd had some exposure to other cultures and other languages, and mainly Spanish. And so that was very nice and kind of helped me to see things from a little more than just a one country view, because every country kind of has their own, this is our way, and everybody else is a little bit different. But when you kind of move around a lot, it helps to have a more collective human,
It's beautiful. Our country's the best because we were born here.
And everybody is saying the exact same thing,
Oh no, our country's the best because we were born here.
Right, yeah.
All you got to do is watch World Cup soccer and you get that nationalism, right?
That is the epitome of that, yes, yeah. So anyway, we did that, and then we moved back to the United States, and then coming from out of the country, that was kind of odd because everybody was doing that. My country's the best, and my teams or all this other stuff. And I'm kind of like, whoa, wow, that's okay. And then let's see, we moved out into the rural areas of Florida, and there was a lot of cow pasture going on out there, and we know what grows in cow pasture, so the mushroom thing kind of made its appearance in my world, and that was that kind of made things very interesting because then I had what I felt was like a very deep connection to these other dimensions, but not as connected mentally to what was going on. Like my mind still wanted to go do this engineering thing, but then so spiritually I knew everything was cool, and like no fear of death, because I kind of knew that there was something bigger, and we're here for a short time, but this is just a part of who we are. So that was nice.
So you figured that out at a young age then?
Yeah, right, early on.
That's beautiful.
But it was kind of unclear. It was like, okay, I know it's all out there and it's taken care of. I don't really understand it, but we're all good.
Oh,
now let's get down to some serious business.
Yes.
And let's go do some math and science, all that kind of stuff.
Let's be here and let's do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the mind thing was like, all right, we're going to take over from here. And then I joined the military and did a bunch of techno stuff in there for a while, and got out of the military and did more techno stuff. And continued.
So by techno, you mean like
like
computery things or like dance music?
So I'm actually a little bit older, and then techno when I started was actually like tubes and the old school type.
Right on.
Yeah, that stuff. So that's what technology was at the time.
Okay.
And they were just learning how to spell computer when I was doing that. Yeah. And then after a while, I had done some video work, and they said, well, if you're used to using screens, then obviously you must be a computer guy. And I was like, what's that? And then that kind of transitioned into the computer world. So then everything went off computer-wise, and that looked like it was a really good thing to do. And then I got my engineering thing with that. So that's kind of what technology means in this realm. But, so yeah, I did that for a really long time. And then after doing defense contracting in Washington, D.C. for a long time, that was very hollow. It was good money, but when you really step back and think about what it is you're doing in the military industrial complex and all this other kind of stuff and what people, what their motivations are, it just left me feeling just not like that was my full potential or how I could be serving people. And then I met this whole group of really wild science guys, MD, PhD students in California, and they were helping quadriplegic kids at the Loma Linda Children's Hospital and doing all kinds of technology and connecting computers to their face because those are the only muscles that they had, and they were going through virtual reality, and it was like bringing smiles to these poor people that were locked in their bodies and had not had any joy for so many years.
Oh, wow.
And it really spoke to me. And they said, well, if you want to come join us, you can do that, but there's no money involved. And so I went from money with like no soul to all soul with no money. I was like, hey, whatever. So that worked out pretty well. Did that for about a year and a half, and transitioned from that to I did manage a recording studio for a while in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow, cool.
And then after a few years of doing the all soul with no money thing, we had to kind of get back to let's do something to eat from.
Sure.
And then I got back into the computer thing, and that's when I moved from Los Angeles to Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
And did computers up until, I'm still doing them, but I did that for, like 15 years. And that's when the ayahuasca thing exploded.
So I love the way you give presence to that, how somebody gave you some ayahuasca and you're like, I have no idea what this is. And then you shelved it for a period of time then.
Well, yeah, because it was just a little brown baggie, and it just said ayahuasca, and I don't even know, it's a harmaline. It had the chemical breakdown of what was in there, but it didn't say what you do with it. And I never heard of it, and I'm, some brown powder in a bag, and if it's not clear or somebody I know hasn't, I'm like, well, thank you very much. Here, we'll just put this away for now.
Is this, when you find it in a cow pasture, is this the ground cow manure? You don't know.
You're right. We have no idea. And,
do we put it on our hair for shampoo? You just...
I mean, do you smoke it? Do you snort it? Like, just put it in your ear? Like, I have no freaking clue. So it just went in the drawer. Yeah. Every 5 years or so, run across it. Hey, what is that? Anybody heard of it? No, nobody can even spell it. So put it back in the drawer.
Yeah.
So
So the awareness of ayahuasca is probably something that has been ramping up over the last 20 or 30 years into American consciousness. Because I know that there was people that discovered that from the South America area and brought it over. But I feel like consciousness is evolving faster to where now more and more and more people, it's snowballing, are becoming aware of the benefits of plant medicine. So at what is this, early 2000s when you had run across that, later 2000s?
Okay, so let's do some math here. It's 18, that's 7 years ago in 2011, and that was about 15 years, 18, so... it was like 1995.
Oh, when you had been given that?
Yeah.
Awesome. And then when did you discover what it was?
2011.
2011. So 15 years-ish, it sat around.
Well, there was no Google.
Yeah.
When it, so, and I'm asking, and nobody knew. And I'm keep asking every 5-10 years, like, hey, you ever heard of this stuff? And they're all like, what? Yeah, so.
Yeah. It's funny because every now and then I'll run across someone and I'll say something about ayahuasca and I've never heard that word before. I'm like, really? Okay, because it's been around to me for a few years. So. All right, so you have this experience where you actually decide you're going to go to Peru and actually do it. So that your little brown bag you didn't mess with, you actually went to Peru. Is that accurate?
Oh, yeah.
And you sold your car? What?
Yeah, I was like, I turned 50, I was doing some stuff, and the little baggie surfaced again. I'm like, there's that bag again.
Yeah.
And I was just about to put it away, and I was like, we have Google. This is 2011. I wonder if anybody's heard of this stuff. How do you spell it again? Let's go see. And like I said before, man, it just like go boom, just millions of pages, and just couldn't stop. I'm like, what? Are you serious?
Yeah.
And
So if you've never heard of ayahuasca, now is the time in the show where you pause it and you do your own Google search for ayahuasca.
Yeah, ayahuasca benefits. Well, oh man, AYAHUASCA.
Yeah,
and benefits, and just like stand back because it's like it's unbelievable. Like no way. I mean, I'm talking crazy emotional stuff, cancer, anything. Yeah, I was like, no. If even 10% of this is true, I'm there. I don't care if I die on the journey. I'm selling the car. I'm there. And my wife was like, okay, yeah, go.
Yeah. So you go to Peru, and you must have made a connection. Was it just a Google search, or?
Yeah, Google search and online, and then there are centers, and they're actually not only in Peru, but I was looking in Peru, and there are places all over where you can go for 4, 5, 10, 15 days, 2 weeks, a month, whatever, and they have shaman, and they all do it their own way, and they feed you, and you have a little place to stay, and you just see what speaks to you, and you pick. And I shopped around, and I saw one that had some really nice, friendly people, and they were very loving, and that's kind of what I was looking for. And I communicated, and they said, yeah, come on down, we'd love to have you. And so I did, and next thing I know, I'm in the jungle, like, who are these people? What's going on here?
And were you by yourself?
I went by myself.
Yeah, so you didn't have any peer group. There was no significant other. Wow, that is bold. That is awesome.
Nobody was speaking English.
Oh,
it was crazy. I'd never been to this town, and I got there, and I'm looking around going, whoa, what have I got myself into? Yeah. And that was in town. And then when they came to get me, they pull up in this little motorcycle thing and like, let's go. And then for 45 minutes, we're like going way deep in the jungle and like in the mud and the sand. And I mean, I was like, if I expire here, nobody will know forever. This could be the end. They will never ever find me.
Never find you. Yeah. Especially if they're cannibals. Oh no.
Right. I mean, yeah. Nice. Yeah. A little chewy there, but.
So you get into ceremony, and then give me the setting, give me the presence. You were handed the stuff. You're probably apprehensive, but you're there, so you're probably like, let's just do this.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was really kind of funny because they had a thing on the wall of like each month how many people were coming for the different groups. They had like 5 or 10 people the month before, and 12 people before that. And then I was there in October. In October there was one name. And that was my name only. I was like, where's everybody else? They're like, no, you're it. So they had 3 volunteers and they had 2 staff. So then the shaman. So there was 5 people. And then I was the...
You were the guy.
It was it.
Spotlight.
I'm like, okay, so I don't know anybody. I'm the only one here. There's nobody to talk to about it. And the guy was this wild shaman dude, and he had feathers in his hair and wearing this crazy outfit, and he didn't speak any English at all. And so he's doing the thing, and he pours this big old cup, and it was just, here you go. And I'm like, and I don't know anybody. I don't speak, well enough to really communicate with this guy. And he's pouring me, and I saw online, you usually do like a little bit. He poured this chalice. I'm like, what the? He's like, glue.
Yeah, and it's not smooth. It's clumpy.
Right. This wasn't just like, here's an ounce of it. I'm like, all right, so I love you guys. Like, I have no idea where this is going. If I don't come back, it's been real. I was like, okay. And he handed it to me and just, and it tasted like suede.
Oh.
That was amazing. And then everything just, nothing happened. I was like, okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. And put it away. And I went back to my seat and just sat there and said, hey, I wonder what's going to happen next. And la-di-da. And then 30 minutes passed by, and I'm starting to feel a little interesting. And then by 45 minutes, man, the universe just like the sky just opened up, and we're in this thing called a maloka. It's a round place, and it's got a big giant arched roof, and it's thatched with palm fronds and whatnot. And that thing just opened up, and there were lights just shining down from it, and this shaman's all singing these songs, and as he sings, these energies are shooting out of his body, and I'm just like expanding into the universe. And it's like the madre, the snake, the anaconda is like talking to me, and it's just like, this is where you're from. And I'm like, holy cow. I mean, it was just, I was home. It was like, yes, I recognize the place. I recognize everything going on here. It was the most transformative moment ever in my existence. And I had eaten a bunch of mushrooms as a kid, and that did not hold a candle to this. This was, at 50 years old, I've been around the world. I was in the military. I've done every adventure I could imagine. I mean, I've done some shit, and this was like, wow.
Oh, dude, I love that. So you have this conscious setting that you're already in, and then it expands what you have, and you have a connection to, I've been here before. I was here, and that was my home, my place. But now you're playing this character. That was, I'm trying to interpret yours through my understanding. That's kind of the veil that was taken away when I had an experience. It was like, oh, I'm playing a character, and this is my thing. But that level of consciousness that you experienced, it is so beautiful. It's so connective. Give the viewer a little bit of an understanding of what this whole thing's about from what you've understood now, having done ayahuasca, being a facilitator for it. Give us what's going on here? What's this whole thing about?
How much time do we have?
Yeah. And wrap it up in 2 minutes or less, please.
Yeah, okay, no problem. What the meaning of life in 120 seconds?
Pretty much.
Yeah, all right. As best as I can tell, and it's so the human mind, it's like a Swiss Army knife. It's a tool for this dimension, okay? And without it, we could not exist here. So we need it. However, what's going on in the universe is so far beyond human comprehension. I mean, like if the human mind were a bucket that held, say, like 10 gallons or something, because you need to have water and you need to have so much that'll last you, and whatever it is. What's going on in the universe makes the Pacific Ocean look like nothing. That's how big it is. Yeah. And so with our little cute 10-gallon bucket, like we need that, and we can fill that with whatever we want. And what the medicine, for me, does anyway, is it lets us go and pick where we want to go fill it up. But there is an infinite amount of energy and happenings and things that are going on in this universe that it's not by design for the human mind to be able to encompass all that. Yeah. I mean, like the human mind is intentionally created to not have all that. Because if it was all that, why even bother coming here?
If you understood everything, why play the game? If
you are one with God or the universal consciousness or source, that's where we all come from. If you're already there, then there's no reason. Yeah. And what it appears, again, to me, like there are no hard, the way it is, it just looks like, so our souls are these multidimensional giant, whatever they are, and they span across different worlds. And part of the learning, the beauty of this is the self-discovery to go into this particular dimension, this whole time-space thing, and to kind of put on blinders to everything else, to just focus on the lessons that we've chosen to learn as we come here. So that's why there's such a variety of experience. You know, some people come here and everything seems to go perfect. So they're all about like you know, philosophy and how's that going to work. Other people come here and wham, like right off, they have birth defects, or they have abuse, or they have all this other crazy stuff. And we're like, oh, this isn't fair. And it's definitely rough going. But everyone that I've worked with and talked to that's been through traumatic experience, when they get through to the other side, they always say, I learned so much. And then what they have is that experience to share and to care for other people that are in the same position, and they feel lost or don't know what's going on. So like a lot of the best therapists have come out of, you know, emotionally traumatic situations. A lot of the best physical coaches I've seen have had some of the worst physical ailments as children that they had to get over. So it's actually a very empowering thing to have obstacles and then work your way through them and around them. To just come here and be like, oh, everything's fine, I'm totally healthy, I've got $200 million in the bank and it's all good and it never rains and, you know, we're doing right. Like, that's not the nature of this.
How boring would that be if it was so perfect?
Right. I mean, embracing life's challenges is what really gives meaning, you know, and that's when you feel most alive. When you're kind of sitting around and everything's all going cool and, you know, like, oh, some wine or something, I mean, that's fine as a little tiny thing, but after the work is done, you know, when you're out there and you're with people and how can I help you and what's going on with you and let's do this and hey, we can create this or that, or, you know, let's do something really marvelous, fabulous. That is where the juice is. And that is kind of what the medicine for me has allowed me to get glimpses of, is how amazing and fantastic this whole energy is in the universe and how much we get to pick where we focus that energy. I've had plenty of times it's like, oh, poor me, or this isn't working, or, you know, wah, wah, wah. And then I realize I can just shift the energy and then all that becomes a really amazing project to do. Let's do that, let's do that. And then the results are so meaningful. Like, wow, I was almost at a place where I stopped or gave up on this and then turned it around and let's do this. And now it's this magnificent celebration that was only one thought away. And that had come from inspiration. Yeah, from seeing what else was going on out there.
I love it. So this whole conscious thing, you know, my three influences are Conversations with God, Neil Donald Walsh, Ayahuasca Ceremony, and most recently Journey of Souls with Dr. Michael Newton. He did hypnotherapy, and after thousands and thousands of these sessions, people started telling him about their life between lives. And so it's given me this holistic perspective, having had that plant medicine experience, having understood the oneness of all, that we're here for a human experience. And my religious upbringing told me that I had to get it right because it was a one and done. But after I've studied these other sources and had my own personal experience, I realized this is part of the experience of an overall cosmic journey that we're all on. And your one little lifetime is just but a little tiny piece of that. So enjoy your 100 years. And if we can get to the place where we're not afraid to live, we're like, oh, what's going to happen when I die? Oh, if we can let that fear down, we can go, ooh, let's experience, let's explore, let's find out what there is. And that gives us that freedom. And that's something that plant medicine has given me, is that ability to relax. It's going to be okay. And I get to do what I learned in my very first ceremony. My very first ceremony, I saw in neon red, it said, enjoy the ride. It's my very first experience. Like yourself, I felt it coming on. I'm like, what's going to happen? And I saw in red neon, like a beer sign, said, enjoy the ride. And it could have said Budweiser, but it said, enjoy the ride. And in my mind, I said, huh. And I swear it was, I mean, I could look up. I was like, huh, what's that mean? And I hear the Madre say, that's what you're here to do. Oh, and it's slow, not the sharpest tool in the shed. It goes, oh, we're supposed to enjoy the ride. That's what we're here. And then right after that, in blue neon, it says beliefs. And I go, oh, what's that mean? And the Madre says, your beliefs create your reality. So what you believe becomes the reality in which you live. And I went, oh, so I can't enjoy the ride if I have a fear-based construct, but I can enjoy the ride if I'm here to understand that the belief is I can enjoy the ride. Boom, clicked.
And you can pick and choose your beliefs.
Well,
that's what nobody's
you can if you have that level of consciousness. But if you're given a fundamentalism that said this belief system is the only belief system, then you're like, oh. And so I was in a system where I believed what everybody told me the truth was, and I was like, oh, well, this must be the truth. So I never looked for any other answers. But about 3 years ago, I was like, wait a minute, I'm going to start questioning and exploring. I was a little late to the game. Yourself, you're a young guy out in the cow pasture eating mushrooms, having these amazing expansive experiences. I was like, no, I'm afraid of that. And so I was a little slower to it. But now like you say, I'm now understanding, oh, I get to choose that system of belief, whether it's joy or fear or love or whatever that is.
That, in my little world of interpretation, that is the fundamental. Even in, the whole Christian thing, like about God giving us free will, like that is the essence of free will. Do we actually, like everything, not like a few things free will, whether I'm chocolate or vanilla or what shirt you're wearing? No, free will means what you believe, how you breathe, what you eat, how you want to exist as a human being.
Yes.
That, like at the existence level. That's what free will is.
If we could get to that level of consciousness, that would be beautiful. My level of free will was you get to choose white or black. Which one do you want? Black is bad, white's good, and meaning in like going to the afterlife, the God or the devil. That's your free will. I was like, that's it? You get to choose. You want to go baseball or football? That's it. I want to go camping. You can't go camping. That's not part of it. You got to do one of the baseball or football. And I was like, so when you have a system that says, oh, I can choose anything, you ultimately really have free will. That's a beautiful place.
And, that's a blooming thing, because while you're in your black-white world and they're telling you the way it is, there's like a little knock, 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 like, there might be something else. It takes a while, and some people, it's going to come when it comes naturally. But eventually, like you did, you're like, what? And you tried something else, and then that opened up your definition of free will to this big, giant picture.
I was afraid of hell, and I was never afraid I was going to hell. I was afraid you were going to go to hell. So I had to convert you to my belief system, and that's what I was told I had to do. When you can lay that down and you go, oh, I really am free to choose because I'm not separate from the divine. The divine is part of what I am. I'm encompassed in the divine. I'm like, oh, now I can enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Different level.
You can't be separated from the divine. I mean, and that,
it's beautiful.
Like, I don't know, there's a bunch of fundamental things, but if there's just something that I can convey to people, anybody doing this, is you can't mess this life up.
Yes.
It is impossible. You can just let it go. Like, you cannot mess this up. All the stuff people go, oh, this is wrong, or that was bad. Like, no, you don't understand. Everything we do is for our benefit. It's a lesson. A lot of stuff really hurts. Stuff crashes and burns. I'm not saying that there's no wow. There's a lot of wow that goes on. But big picture, life, birth to death, every single thing is divinely orchestrated for our benefit to learn and to be able to serve and give back. And you speak with anybody that's been around for a while and has been through a lot of this life up and down, and ask them if what the upshot was of whatever their situations in life. And everybody that I personally talked to has been like, yes, it was hell when I was in it, but let me tell you, I'm a stronger person. I learned this, I learned that. I was able to help other people that are going through the same thing. Every single person. So there is no need whatsoever to carry any guilt, any shame, any of that. You cannot mess it up. Everyone is doing completely perfect.
Yeah, that shame and guilt is the lowest vibration, and it absolutely is of no use or service to your human experiences to walk around. I'm unworthy. I'm not good enough. Ugh, all that
shame,
stuff.
Guilt, and fear.
Yep.
That's the triple crown of
triple crown.
Yeah, it's just
It's so good. So I did a plant ceremony session with you, and I consider you my shaman now. Whether you want to receive that or not, I'm telling you, you're my shaman. And I know you're humble because you're like, well, I'm just a guy that's having this ability to, help others. But with your training and the experiences that you've had, you have this beautiful, loving way that you facilitate. So I am in that space. I'm in ceremony. I feel the medicine coming on. I have an experience. And then you come around to facilitate. And this is the most important thing of your specific ceremony that I loved. At the beginning, you say, now, if you feel like you're in a space where it's uncomfortable, you say, I don't really like to say it's a dark space because I want there to be room for darkness to move. But if you feel like you're having an experience you don't want, you tell the experience, I don't want this. I want to have joy and humor. And I went, oh, note to self, I want to have joy and humor. So I'm in ceremony, and we take our second cup later in the night, and I feel this dark presence, and I feel this heaviness, and in my mind, I see this big snake come up with these big fangs, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be scary. And I said, you know what? I don't want this. I want joy and humor, just like Clay said. And I swear, it goes, whoosh, and it turned really bright and happy. Went, oh, okay.
Free will, baby.
What? I was like, I didn't, of course, but I wanted to shout out, Clay, it worked! It worked! Now, I did tell you later after my experience, I gave you gratitude the next day. And I just wanted to give you honor for giving us the place to have our experience, but realizing we don't have to be victims. We can be co-creators of our experiences.
Yeah, all that stuff that I try to say before ceremony, and it's just tips from, honestly, getting my ass kicked from hundreds and hundreds of ceremonies. It's like, hey, let's try this. Whoa, okay, that's all right. How about this? Hey, that really works, and having the madre communicate directly and this and that, and show, different paths and ways that you can do this. And, I've sat in a bunch of ceremonies, and sometimes they give really good advice. Sometimes there's no advice. Sometimes you're totally figuring things out on your own. Sometimes things like, it has to be this way, but I didn't see it had to be that way. So I do my best to give people as much space as possible and to let them know that you really have choice in how your journeys go. Because some people are like, it's just going to happen to me. It's not. I mean,
they come in with a mindset, something bad, I'm scared, whatever.
I'm going to pay the price.
I just know.
Yeah, and it's like, no, you don't need any of that at all. Nothing.
Yeah. I've heard people go, I heard this one guy, he got diarrhea. It was all, I'm like, well, that was his experience. It's never been my experience. It's not something I choose. If it happens, so be it. But the experiences I have had are absolutely the most spiritually profound connection I've ever had with Source, and it is amazing. So whether it's Mama Ayahuasca, the Madre, if it's your spirit guide, if it's God, whatever that connection is, it's that spiritual connection. I have inwardly felt that intuitive, I'm getting information, and this was not something that came from me.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
It was absolutely a cosmic connection.
Yep. For me, it's like standing under a waterfall.
Oh,
like being in the desert, and you're out there and it's hot and you're thirsty and it's dry, and just like, I know that there's something out there that's magnificently fulfilling.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you just turn the corner and there's this beautiful waterfall, and you stand under it and just get out of the, you just be a part of it, and it just flows through you. And that's what it feels like when all this energy is going on. Just loving, nurturing, refreshing, beautiful, did not come from me. And I just try to get out of the way and just let the medicine do its work.
So good. So this is absolutely the part of the show where I encourage you to get connected with Clay, go to his website, make an appointment to find consciousness, to find that place where you fit in. Now, given that plant medicine, it's not just an ayahuasca experience. You've been to Peru recently. You went and you have told me about the 80,000 whatever species of plants there are and the different medicines that do different things. Give some place to the jungle, the plants, the experiences you've had where the plants have communed and connected with you.
Okay, so yes, there are, I think it's supposed to be more than 80,000 medicinal plants in the jungle. And ayahuasca is the big one. Ayahuasca is the one that, it's all about, and that's what everybody knows about, okay? And
that's what I know about.
Right, and that's the madre, and that's who I work for, and that's, absolutely.
But she's got some
in addition,
cousins or stepkids.
Yeah, right. So in addition, and and I could be maybe a little off, but just my experience of doing all this, there's sort of this, like a family with these plants going on, okay? And I know anything that I may be saying going on here is sounds a little crazy, and I've heard a lot of stuff, and I'm like, what is that?
Oh,
and then,
people, they love that we're crazy. Keep going, bro.
Okay, because I mean, I just, and I totally, whatever your reaction is, I had the same reaction.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just going to tell you my personal experience. Okay, so these plants, they all have real, live, fully conscious, spiritual essences and beings. I mean, these plants communicate. All the plants sing, they teach songs. They show you what's going on in your body. They all have like superpowers of their own of what they do. So there's 80,000 of these plants, and so ayahuasca is kind of the madre. She's the one that takes care and embraces everybody and just does this loving healing, curing through your body and your spirit and just all
and you can feel that energy too.
Completely,
it is
completely
distinct. You're like, ooh, I recognize this.
Yeah. So that's her. Then there is the organic jungle tobacco called mapacho, and that is super, super powerful. And as far as actual healing goes, that is more powerful than the ayahuasca. Like when it comes to just getting really down to the healing business, there are ayahuasqueros, and then there are tabaqueros, and they are the tobacco people. And that is like the serious. They don't get much press because you don't see the visions, and there's usually a lot of puking going on, and it just isn't like the Showtime special, right?
The glamour kid,
right. But when you really had something going on and you need serious business, usually it's a mixture of ayahuasca and the tobacco. And so the tobacco is super powerful. It's super protective. It's a purgative. I mean, tobacco just does amazing things. Tobacco's got a bum rap here in the U.S. because it's a totally different kind of tobacco, and they put chemicals and cigarettes and cancer and that whole deal. But this is not about that.
So there's a difference there.
Completely different animal, plant. Okay, yeah. And so like down there, part of it is you do tobacco purges where they take tobacco and they mix it with water and you drink this tobacco, like big glasses of it. I mean, like,
good.
Yeah. It's very spicy and it has a very interesting flavor. Sometimes it comes up immediately, and then sometimes it takes hours. And I mean, I've done these purges where you drink it and you feel energized. You can just feel it cleaning out your body. So tobacco, and it has a very powerful spirit as well. I mean, tobacco is the superpower plant.
Wow, that's interesting.
So there's that. There's another one called Chia, which it's a super powerful tree, but there's also the spirit of Chia, which is king of the jungle, and that's another very healing, curative, powerful plant. So that's two of them. And then you go down the list of the other 80,000. Some are more popular than others. There's one called Bobansana, which is this very beautiful tree, and it grows by the river, and it has these magnificent flowers, and they're fragrant, and that is a very heart-opening type plant. You were telling me about the
Bobansana.
Yeah, that's just so beautiful. There's songs about it. And
is that the one where the plant had touched you in your chest? Was that the Bobansana?
No, actually that was an ayahuasca vine.
Oh.
Yeah, during ceremony. I went outside to go pee in the bushes, and I went, and all of a sudden I'm there, and this leaf just hit me right in the heart, and it was shaped like a heart, and this energy was going through me, and I'm like, whoa, and it's talking to me, and yeah, that was ayahuasca.
Beautiful.
So yeah, with these plants, and so there's 80,000 of them. They all have their own spirit, and they all teach you a certain way. So then how do plants teach you? Then that leads to the next thing, which is plant diets, or they're called dietas.
The dieta.
You're right. And so the deal with that is basically you are coming to the plant, and usually the shaman assesses you of what your needs are and what it is that you're looking for, and then they have a catalog of experience with a variety of these plants. So whatever you're looking to learn, to heal, or whatever, be like, oh, this is Bobansana, or this is Lopuna. There's just thousands and thousands, and the most powerful shaman have dieted 30, 40, 50, 100 plants. So they have a connection with it.
Wow.
And the deal with these diets is, let's say so we were talking about Bobensana, we'll just use that. Let's say for whatever reason, emotionally you wanted to work with your heart and say open your heart and kind of get a little more connected to, you know, loving, feeling type stuff. And it's decided to do Bobensana. So the deal is that you go in isolation and you're not talking to anybody. You can read, but it's not about reading like too much thinky, techie stuff.
Yeah.
And not really listening to music. It's just about you being alone in the jungle. Usually journaling is good if you have any kind of musical instruments or whatnot. And while you're there by yourself, it can be 3, 5, I did 10 days where you're just in isolation and you drink the plant every day. We had a tea and you eat real basic food, like your lunch maybe 1 boiled potato and a boiled carrot, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
And breakfast may have been some cucumbers and some rice.
Man, am I full.
Yeah. But the whole idea with the super bland diet and with not being stimulated by other things that cause you to think too much, what you're doing is you're coming to the spirit of the plant and you are laying yourself out like a blank canvas and asking it to come and to teach you physically, to see how it feels in your body, and then also mentally by not preoccupying yourself with a bunch of thinky type stuff, and you are available to the plant. And the plant usually will come to you either just, you'll kind of have knowing thoughts during the day when you're conscious. You'll have dreams. There's all kinds of wild dreams that go on during these plant diets where the plants are talking to you. Woo-hoo. And then during the ceremony, the ayahuasca and the plant that you're dieting work together, and then in your visions the ayahuasca kind of opens it up for the plant to come, and sometimes the plant you're dieting will come present itself as a spirit. Sometimes it'll come and teach you a song. There is no one way that it comes, but you are just making yourself available to that plant to come in whatever way it feels best.
That is incredible.
And that's how you learn, and that's you after a number of plant diets, that's, you have like, these are your allies now, and they spiritually take root inside of you, and you can call on them at any time in the future. So you know, if you're working with somebody and there's something going on emotionally or their heart stuff, you can call or sing a song, the Icaros, or you can mentally do it as well. You can call the Bobensana to come and do some work. You know, there's and each plant has its own, like I said, kind of superpower. So if you've dieted the plant, you have a connection with the plant, and that's what the powerful shaman do. They have strong diet connections with these plants. They have a wide variety of plants they've dieted, and as they're doing the work with you, they can call on these plants, trees, animals. Like, they have this whole array of beings that they can call on to come in and work and serve you. So.
No, that is incredible. Now, you've actually had that experience where you sat in that little hut tent or whatever.
Yeah.
You've been out in the jungle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they will come and check on you periodically. But other than that, you're just there in your solitude, and you're there to receive.
Yep. Yeah.
That's intense, man.
And you know, going into it, it's like, wow, 10 days in isolation, what are you going to do for 10 days? Let me tell you, once you get into that and you're like there and you're just kind of receiving information, and the birds and the animals and the frogs, and I mean, you can almost hear the plants growing, and there's always something. I mean, the jungle is like a rock concert of creation. It's just, there's stuff going on all the time. And then next thing you know, there's ceremony, and then there's something going on, and then you're writing all this stuff, and where did this come from? And it's just flowing out of you. And if you bring musical instruments, next thing you know, 10 days is done.
Yeah.
It just,
Yeah,
it's magnificent.
Sweet Lady Gail and I had the experience recently where we went to Costa Rica for a period of 3 weeks, and it went by swiftly. Just having that time to not have any appointments, not have anything to do, and to have that time. So that was not at such an extreme as what you've described, but getting to step back is so beautiful, and I highly recommend everyone find some time where they can do something like that in nature.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Now, what I love are the Icaros, and you are an Icaro singer. Oh, wow. It is so cool to be in this live setting, and you've recorded or have recordings of Icaros while ceremony goes on, and then you sing, and some of the folks that help facilitate. Talk to me about the creation of Icaros.
The Icaros, a lot of them are handed down. The folks down in the Amazon have been doing the whole plant medicine ayahuasca thing for thousands of years. Yeah, I mean, just this goes way back. So a lot of these have been handed down from generation to generation, taught to the different teachers, the maestros, from the plants directly, from doing these diets.
Now that sentence right there, I need to make sure we highlight with yellow. The plants taught people how to sing.
Yes.
Wow.
I know. I heard that. I mean, for like my first, I don't know, however long in this world, I would hear people say that. I'm like, come again? The plants taught
yeah.
a song.
Tell me that again.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, so like I'll go back to when I did that Bobansana diet. It was during the day, and then they had a thing where if you'd been doing the medicine for a while, you could even you could do some medicine. Well, maybe not a little, it was a bunch, but you could do some during the day by yourself. And so I did that, and right in the middle of this diet, and I'm there, and everything just opened up. And then the Bobansana just it came in front of me and started singing this song in a language I've never heard of. Oh, wow. And I've heard a few languages, nothing ever. And it was this beautiful song and these words. And I'm like trying to get a recorder. It was like, it wasn't going on. But I mean, it was clearly communicating this was one of its songs from a whole other thing. And I couldn't grasp it. But,
wow.
But yeah, they will teach you, like literally, you talk to anybody who's done like major dieting and they'll be like, oh yeah, this is the song that came to me in this diet or came to me in this diet. So yeah, they sing, plants sing. It's pretty crazy.
Well, I love the sound of the shaman, whether it was a live or a recording, and it just helps facilitate the journey, specifically the ayahuasca journeys that I've experienced. It just helps facilitate that, and you just feel safe, you feel protected, you feel like you're being guarded.
Okay, so yeah. So these Icaros, they're not just like campfire songs.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
I feel fantastic. You know, it's not like that.
And it's all good, feeling fantastic. But they're tools. And there are certain songs, these Icaros, and some of them are to help you actually purge. Some of them are to open up your heart. Some of them are to open up the visions. There's a wide variety. And what the masters do is they go and they can see what is needed in any particular instance. You know, so if it's like somebody's a little too not centered, then there's energy that they can put out in the sonic form to calm and center. If someone is maybe feeling way down, then there's sonic energy that they can do, these Icaros, to uplift and bring the spirit in. So there's, you know, people are just like, oh, and they can't purge or whatever, then you can come over and there are songs for, next thing you know, and it's on. So in our ceremonies, what I strive for is to present a variety of the masters live in ceremony, in the jungle, performing and putting out this energy in a beneficial order, so that, you know, there's protection going on, there's cleansing and purging going on, there's opening the visions going on. These guys have been doing it for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, like the masters. And then I've been training under my teacher, and so he's taught me a variety of the songs that were handed down to him and how to present them. And so that's what I present as well, and as well as the other people in the ceremony. So it's kind of an orchestrated, how can we best serve the people involved in the ceremony? And then after that's done towards the end, then it's cool campfire, like just joy celebration type stuff. But we need to kind of clean house and get everybody aligned and calm, and, you know, it's like, that's why we're here. And then once all that's done, you just feel so
oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
So to give presence to the ceremony that I've sat in with you, we come into a room, you've got a mat, a bowl, a roll of toilet paper, and a rattle next to each individual space. And I was like, wow, number one, it's very clean, it's very well organized, it's very methodical, it's very well thought out. And then there's people there to, hi, how you doing? And I remember the first time I walked in the room, I'm like, oh, okay, so I have to find a place to sit. So I'm like, I have to sit next to someone and hope it's a great seating assignment. I just want to like the person I'm next to. And I found someone, we connected. It was a gentleman that we hit it off. And he ended up making a connection, doing something in video. Then you and I connected because of that, and we're probably sitting here today because of that guy.
So where you sat.
Look how the universe starts putting things together. The moderator was already at work before I even had that experience. And then another thing I really want you to address is the purge. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm afraid I'm gonna throw up. And for me, my experience has been, I was like purging and like tears of laughter, like this is so hilarious, the human experience. This is just a construct. Look at this thing I get to do. It was not a scary, it was like, it was relief. It was, to me, it was hilarious because I'm having this experience. I've never been like, oh, I want to hold on, I want to be in control. I've just been like, well, hey, I'm here to receive. Tell me the experience you've had of either yourself or others that you've experienced with the purge.
La purga.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So everybody is like, that's the big thing on the list.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, well, I kind of want to do it, but I don't know, this throwing up thing.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously I was on that list as well of people concerned about the purge. So let me first tell you this. It's nothing like drinking too much and then throwing up because you drank too much alcohol. Not that anybody has ever done that, okay? Certainly not me.
Check the box.
Right. I was in the Navy. There's no drinking there. Okay. And it's nothing like when you have the flu and the fever and it just goes on and you're just like for most of us, those are our two, that's why we throw up. I mean, most people, I'd never done ayahuasca before, right? So like that's our only reference. There is indeed a third way to purge, okay? And I'll describe my first purge. So when I'm in the jungle in Peru and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to live through this or not, and I drink my stuff and I'm, whoa, and it's talking to me, we're going and I don't even know, it was like 4 or 5 hours into the night, learning, doing the stuff, and then the medicine says, okay, you want to know about the purge? And I was like, oh yeah, what the purge? How does that work? And it was like, check it out. Okay. Now, energetically look at your body, okay? Just feel how you're feeling, okay? Who you are as a being and whatnot. What are you feeling? And I was like, oh, I felt good, there's stuff going on. But there was something, I don't know, I just sort of in my side here, there was this sort of heavy, weird thing going on. And the medicine was like, okay, see that kind of heavy, weird thing going on? Like really kind of look into that. And it was like, wow, it was some trauma from in my past. I didn't know what it was, but I didn't even know if it was emotional or what, but there was like this something that I had been carrying for a really long time. And so the medicine was like, okay, really look at that. And I was like, ooh, and it just, the more I looked at it, it kind of was heavy and it was this, ugh.
And this is like this internal dialogue.
In the middle of the ceremony. Well, the guy's like singing and doing.
People don't understand that, but you're literally communicating.
It's talking to you like, here's what's going on. And I was like, okay, yeah, so that. And the medicine was like, would you like to get rid of that? And I was like, well, yeah, that would be really awesome. Because I hadn't thought about it, but it was like something I carried as who I am as a being. It was just this part of me like, hey, we're all cool over here, but don't, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Right, serious business, right? And so the medicine was like, okay, grab your bucket. Well, it was a bowl, actually. I was like, okay. I grabbed the bowl, and the medicine's like, okay, you ready? And I was like, yeah, I'm ready. And all of a sudden it just went, and it came out, and I'm looking, and there's stars and flowers in the bowl.
Yeah.
I'm laughing my ass off, and all this ick just, it came out, and it was just hilariously beautiful.
Yes.
And suddenly I was 15 pounds lighter, and it was like taking out the trash, and I set the bowl to the side, and it was like time to dance, and it was just this, thank you. I mean, it could not have come out any other way. I'd been carrying this who knows how many years of my life. And it was the most beautiful celebration ever. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was afraid of that.
Yeah.
But you don't know going into it. So, so that was my experience. And it was just, that was Nemo. I was like, thank you. So every single ceremony ever since then, I mean, the purge is just, I'm so grateful. Thank you for helping me just because we all have it as human beings. I mean, we all have traumas. We have collections of physical junk just from the stuff that we eat. It collects in our bodies. And the purge is a combination of pulling toxins from your body, and then they actually collect in your stomach. I mean, you can fast the day before or just drink water, and then in a ceremony, be purging up all kinds of wild stuff. You're like, I haven't had any food. Like, I don't even know. There's chihuahuas coming out of me, and I don't even know how that happened. You know, I mean, it's, and because there's stuff that just gets lodged physically and energetically in our bodies. I mean, I've had people purge up relationships. People, I mean, I've heard stories of just all kinds of stuff. And when you're done, you're just clean. You're free of these. It's like carrying a backpack full of rocks, you know, like shoulds and the fear, shame, and judgment and all that other ick that we get into. We're like, oh, okay, yeah, I got to, you know. And then the purge is like just this backpack full of rocks, and it's time to dance, and you're clean, and you feel wonderful. So the purge really is a beautiful thing.
Tell me about a person that says, I didn't receive anything, and then the medicine's still doing the work a few days later. Yeah.
So one of the fundamental concepts in this realm is that you get what you need, not what you want.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
for a lot of folks, they see the videos online and there's snakes, and there's all kinds of cool pictures, you know, and it looks like it's going to be Avatar in 3D or something like that. And it is absolutely possible, and lots of people do see that. But there is no one way for the medicine to come into anyone's life. Sometimes it's just knowing. Some people drink the medicine and they're not seeing anything, and it's not this craziness, but information just comes to them. And like, I don't even know where this came from. Just suddenly there's knowing. For other people, it's about feeling. They're just like, wow, because like those of us that have been kind of locked in our head for a while, we just are sometimes not in touch with our body, with our deepest emotions. Because, you know, I mean, I was kind of running away from like drama from my childhood. So let's be smart. Let's do this calculation. No, I don't need to know.
Don't tell me about it.
Yeah, right. And so for some folks, you drink the medicine and it's not visionary. It's like you're just like, wow, for the first time ever, I was feeling my body. I was doing like love and compassion, and I was actually in the middle of emotions that I have always blocked. I cried for a while, and then when that was gone, I was laughing and joy. And so for some people, that's how it works. So there's like knowing, there's just a feeling. And then some people hear things, like people hear music, and sometimes they'll be, the medicine actually talks to them and tells them things. Some people see neon lines that say, enjoy the ride, you know.
Enjoy the ride, yes!
It's totally, you know. Other people, and the thing is, it's not about the person. You can have a feeling thing one night, and then you can have a visual thing the next. There's no one way that it goes. But sometimes it is visual, like very visual. Like you're just sitting there. I've been in ceremonies where I didn't know if my eyes were open or closed.
Oh,
no idea. Just like it was. Sometimes it was brighter with my eyes closed than when it was open. And you know, and sometimes it's the geometry of the universe.
Yep.
There's that. And sometimes it is like a movie. Like there's actual people, or you'll see faces or plants. I've been like down in the roots of trees and watch things go on and have the trees tell me how they live in the world. And there is no one way for any of this to go down. But back to the original question, which I've been rambling and forgot to answer directly. So lots of times the medicine will, let's say, bloom after the ceremony in that following week. So that's why it's suggested to kind of maintain the diet. And then we didn't discuss exactly, but the diet's like no salt, no sugar, no sex, no marijuana, no alcohol, and no pork. That's kind of the basics. Like there are more expanded versions of it, but that's the basic deal. And if you hold that diet for the week after the ceremony, basically just like the plant diets that we talked about earlier, what you're doing is you're telling the medicine that you are holding space open for it to keep bringing you awareness and gifts. Because if right after ceremony, you're like, man, that's done, I'm back at it, and you're like smoking doobs and drinking and alcohol and eating pork and french fries and fried food and spicy and all other kind of stuff, then suddenly your body is in a totally different mode, and it has to deal with all these extra influences that it doesn't when you're on the diet. And then your mind gets all busy, and I find the spirit of ayahuasca is kind of like a hummingbird. And when you are totally respecting it, it comes around and it'll be like, hey, and sometimes a hummingbird will land on your shoulder. I mean, hummingbirds are when they don't sense danger, they're all, and they have gifts and beautiful. But if you're, okay, what am I doing in this? And like, ooh, hey, and you're in this kind of a mode, it'll be like, you're busy. We'll come back later. Okay? So by keeping the diet open for this week after, you are inviting it to come and keep bringing you more gifts. We had a woman came up to me fairly recently, and she said, I came to a ceremony, 2 days, and I have to tell you, I didn't see anything. I didn't even think I felt anything, and I was actually kind of angry when I left.
Wow.
And I didn't say anything, but I just but I was not happy.
Huh.
And I was like, oh wow, so what happened? And then she came up and she hugged me and goes, you don't even know.
Yeah.
By Wednesday, I was like, I realized, holy crap, this physical ailment that she had been dealing with for 56 years had been to, I don't even know how many doctors, tried all kinds of medication. It just was not there anymore. Like, just gone. And she said that was my intention, and that's why I went to the ceremony, was just to get some relief from this condition that I had. And here I was, all upset because I didn't get the light show.
Yeah.
But she got what she needed, not what she was looking for. And she's like, I can't thank you enough, and the medicine, and I've learned about expectations.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah.
Yeah, my oldest boy and I did the very first ceremony we did, and he physically felt a healing in his body. And he said that that experience, he didn't have necessarily the light show that I was having, but he could feel it in his body working. And so there's that tremendous medicinal quality that's happening. There's that energetic force, that thing that's occurring there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I have no explanation for it.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of the medicine. But it fixes stuff. It goes in, when you drink it, you've done it, right? When I drink, I've got company. I have guests over, and they're like, the madre's in there, and she's checking stuff out. It can be your legs, your intestines, what's going on. And, sometimes you move around and it does stuff and you feel gurgling and like, what's going on? And then the next day be like, wow, that thing that was going on, it's just not there anymore. Or, I feel so much better. I've gone into ceremony with fevers, thinking I was like going to croak in the ceremony. Really not in a good shape. And then by the end of ceremony, it's like, bum, bum, bum. Fever's gone, feeling fantastic. Just amazing physical, healing kind of, I don't know. It is, I've always been kind of resistant to that word. It's like, heal you, it's like, but it does some very serious work. So I don't know how it works, but I am super grateful.
I know. The experience I had in ceremony recently with your ceremony was I saw this line, this connection, and, talk about those images. And I was like, well, what is this line? And I felt that spirit, that madre, say, this is universal consciousness. There's just one universal consciousness. I'm like, what? And then she says, let me show you. So she pulled up a ski mountain, and there was these gondola cars all connected to this long cable. And she says, you see all these cars, those are all the characters that we're playing. And then she says, this is what you are doing. I go, what do you mean, what am I doing? She goes, there's only one of us. This is what you're doing. And I go, well, what about my wife, Gail? She goes, there is no Gail. And I was like, what? She goes, that's just a construct. She goes, and while you're at it, there's no David either. That's just a construct. It's a character you're playing. I'm like, what? Yeah, Leo thought the same thing. I'm like, what is happening? And she says, notice what it's all connected to. It's all connected to that long cable on the gondola line. She goes, that's universal consciousness. I'm like, oh my God, I could not have thought of that. So whatever messages I was receiving, I'm like, so you're telling me there's this universal consciousness, we're all playing characters? She goes, yeah. I go, okay, I need a break. This is hurting my mind right now. And she goes, don't worry. Remember what I told you last time? She says, enjoy the ride. I'm like, you just said it again. It's amazing. My mind was blown.
Yeah, and I used to be, okay, how am I going to bring all this back to the regular world?
Yeah.
You're not going to bring the Pacific Ocean back in a 10-gallon bucket. No matter how many trips you make, ain't happening.
I have a pocket full of Pacific Ocean here. They're like, sure you do.
Yeah, right, yeah. And you can tell people about the Pacific Ocean all day long. They'll be like, oh yeah, that's water. It's like,
yeah, but you were there in the ocean. You were a part of it, and the ocean's really big.
Really big.
So tell people how they can get a hold of you, how they can experience this. Give some idea of what people receive when they, because I know there's people sitting here right now going, I'm afraid to do ayahuasca, but I want to do ayahuasca. Tell people what they need to know.
Well, everybody is always at the perfect place and ready to do the ayahuasca. I mean, like, I hear so many conversations, I don't know this, and maybe that, maybe that. Now, medically, that is a different story because you can have some conflicts. So if you're on any kind of, prescription that's an ongoing thing, especially antidepressants, that's definitely not a good thing. So you have to be off of medications. But as far as just mental, spiritual posture, or right place, right time, any point in the human experience is a perfect thing because you're always in the perfect place. Like I said before, you can't mess this up. So there is no, let me get ready. You're ready. I mean, you're already being you at 100%. It's not like I'm not all me yet, let me get there. So so as long as you physically are in a good place and you're not having like some emotional, if you're not in therapy and you're not on a regular prescription, then odds are you probably would be fine physically to go. So, and that's why we have like an intake form, and we kind of review and make sure that everything's safe and no risk taking as far as anybody's physical thing goes. But as far as just being ready, if you're having the human experience, if you have a pulse, you can benefit from the medicine. And being afraid, everyone, I mean, it's just part of being human to hear about really major events that you're completely unfamiliar with that look very bizarre on the outside, with people wearing some crazy clothes and feathers and talking about, I don't know what the heck this is, but, and it could kill me, but I'm going to go find out. So I was afraid. And when I sat there that first night, this crazy cat's handed me this, cup full of stuff with the feathers, like, here you go. I was like, all righty. So I wouldn't avoid going because there was fear, because there will never not be fear. Every single person I've ever talked to has had some apprehension about, what am I about to do here?
Yeah.
But I have not met anybody who has gone through the full experience and said that they regretted doing it, ever. Usually it's quite the opposite. Usually people are like afraid and, but I'm going to do it. And they're like, okay. And, they're all like, here they go. And then by the, 2 hours later, they're dying, laughing, like, I can't believe I was so afraid. Yeah. And then that is a metaphor for like their whole life.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like being stopped by fear. Where else has that kept me from having joy and celebration and what's going on? So then that kind of opens it up to like, hey, let's try this, let's try that. And then I've seen people go from very, quiet, meek to like, that's my world out there. Let's go do this.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, so I, as far as anything to tell people, don't be limited by your thinking, your fear, because that's all, that can just like smoke. Just be blown away in a second.
So good.
Yeah.
And for the listeners on the podcast, give your website.
It is pretty easy to remember, smilequick.com.
Beautiful.
So
it's so good. Clay, thank you for being here. I have had profound shifts with plant medicine, specifically ayahuasca, and you have facilitated part of my spiritual growth and journey. So for that, I give you gratitude. Thank you.
It's all the madre, man. I just work here.
I like to end every episode with the guest telling our audience, if there's one thing I want to make sure you take away, it's this one thing. So what is that one thing you want to make sure people take away?
That you are absolutely perfect exactly where you are and the way you are. And like I said, there is no way to mess this up, and you have free will and choice to do and to be absolutely anything in this lifetime until your last breath. So whether it's ayahuasca, whether it's ballet, whether it's engineering, it doesn't matter what it is. As long as you carry joy in your heart and you're doing this out of love, then like our purpose here, that my personal interpretation of why we're here, the bottom line is just to shine the light of 1,000 suns like only we can do it in our own unique way. and to just dance and, to help, to serve, to love, to be love. To be love as only you can be it. And you can't mess it up. Like it is impossible to mess it up. So whatever it is that calls to you and makes you dance and sing, and to be able to share that energy with others, that is why I believe we're here. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, to make this available so people can have a little clearer vision that is why we're here. Thank you.
Awesome. Clay, thank you so much for the work you're doing. Thank you for being a facilitator for consciousness moving forward. Go to the website, smilequick.com, schedule a session. Clay, is it the second weekend of every month?
Generally, yes.
As a general rule, you'll have to check the website for specifics.
And since we're doing this, we also take a group down to Peru, generally once a year. And like, if this calls to you, or if you come to Ceremony and you like this, honestly, this is maybe 5% or 10%, 5%-ish of what it's like to be in the jungle in Peru we usually go down with my teacher, who's been doing this 40 years. He's a maestro, and you're there in the home of the madre, and Dave did a great video for us that shows it, and these plants are all around you, and the jungle is just embracing you. I mean, it's a whole other level. So if that's something that speaks to you, that'll be on the website as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Clay, thank you so much, man. I appreciate all that you're doing.
Thank you, brother. I love you.
Love you too.
I'm David Marsh, and you've been watching Exploring the Human Journey on YouTube as a video and listening as a podcast. If you would like to help continue the conversation, please consider supporting us by visiting patreon.com, where you can support us on a monthly basis and get extra bonus content. For as little as $1 a month, you can make this show sustainable and help continue spiritual consciousness. You can also help by following us on Facebook and Instagram. For more information about the show, find us online at exploringthehumanjourney.com.